Good morning, my dear brothers and sisters. The term Pharisee means separated. It means to be detached from the world. They strictly observe the tradition of the elders, especially on ritual cleanliness. So they separate themselves from anything that is unclean. But what is wrong with this? Nothing. In fact, this must be our attitude today. We should not join the world in sinfulness. We should not engage in the wicked deeds of others. But separation is different from isolation. Isolation is the thing that I've got nothing to do with the world, as isolation is to only care about my soul and myself. Isolation is withdrawing from those into from the world. And that is definitely not our call. Lumen Gentium tells us we are not in the world. We are in the world, but we are not of the world. How can we be salt if salt does not mingle with the meat or with the flesh? How can we be light if light does not mingle with darkness and shine in its midst? So while we do not engage in the wicked deeds of others, we definitely should be willing to immerse ourselves into the world, reach out to others, change the world from the inside. This is precisely what Jesus did in the gospel today. He knew Matthew. He knew that Matthew was a tax collector, and he knew what that meant. According to rabbinical teaching, a tax collector was to be excluded from any religious fellowship. Any money that may come from him was to be considered defiled. He was not to be permitted to serve as a witness in a court of law. He was considered to be a moral leper, and untouchable. And Jesus knew this. But despite of that, Jesus said to him, "Follow me, Matthew. Be my disciple." And the choice of Jesus seems unlikely, but Jesus saw something in Matthew that he can work on. He wanted to transform Matthew, and he knew that that was not impossible. And so the first step was to call him, to reach out to him. He did not avoid Matthew, he called him. He did not engage in the sinful activity of Matthew. Instead, he reached out to him. And the rest, as they say, is history. If you think about it, this is also the story of the incarnation of Jesus. God from heaven came into the world, came in contact with all of us sinners. He pitched his tent among us to transform sinners into saints. And so the story of Matthew is also the story of our own salvation. Jesus comes to us. He engages with us because he wants to transform us. And no matter how sinful we are transformable. We are capable of being transformed when we allow Jesus to do so. We remember that no Christian is perfect, only forgiven. Saints were never perfect, but they tried. No one is so wicked that he or she can never change. There is hope for us, for all sinners. Let us not give up on them. Let us not also give up on ourselves, because Jesus looks at us not for what we are, but for what we can become. Amen.